Sons and daughters of St. Lucia, wherever you may be roaming right now and hearing this broadcast, fellow residents of this our beautiful island, brothers and sisters, a pleasant good evening to you. Our Constitution provides that at least once every 5 years, we the people are to assess the performance of the government, the direction that the country is heading, and to select a new team to chart the administrative affairs and to secure improvements in the lives of our citizens. It has been announced that on 26 July 2021, we will get that opportunity to rescue St. Lucia from the abyss which it now faces. I, Philip J. Pierre, and my team of SAP Kindlets, an excellent blend of tried, tested, and experienced administrators, along with a cadre of energetic and vigorous young professionals, are offering ourselves to conduct that rescue mission. 5 years ago, you were anxious about the pace of progress in this country. You thought some things were happening too slowly. Some used glib talk, and I'm tempted to say eloquent lies, to trick you into believing that they could do better, when in fact they knew they could not. They were given an opportunity to make a positive difference. 5 years later, with no major successes, the evidence of their failures, inabilities, and misplaced priorities is overwhelming and undeniable. For instance, prior to 2016, they led a march based on the fabricated notion of a hidden 680 on a gallon of fuel. Despite knowing the methodology for the computation of fuel prices, they persisted with the lie and convinced some of you that the then Labour administration was unfairly extorting monies from you. 5 years later, not only that they have been unable to find that hidden 680 on fuel, but they raised the excise tax by 150, squeezing all consumers. And now a gallon of gas costs more than it did in June 2016. When VAT was introduced at the end of 2012, understandably, as a new revenue collection measure, it caused some disruption and unease among segments of the population. Endorsed by our regional integration institutions, it was a proper decision to secure a sustainable revenue stream to finance the operations of the states. Through their slick talk and eloquent lies, they promise the immediate reduction and ultimate elimination of the dreaded value-added tax. 5 years later, we still have the VAT in place because they knew, as they later admitted, that VAT is the best and most effective tax in the world. Yet you were promised that it would be replaced with a more creative and less onerous means to raise the required revenue. The St. Lucia Labour Party believes that the problem of crime is too significant a challenge for it to be politicized. We have always and will continue to call for national consensus on the approach to crime fighting. Our efforts were rebuffed and they politicized the issue, claiming that they could personally solve the problem. The approach has been an obvious failure, as their 5-year term has produced a record number of homicides. When the fire in 2009 gutted the St. Jude Hospital, St. Lucia was at the time not only engaged in the construction of a new national hospital, but it was also adjusting to the fallout from the global financial crisis. Hence, cash flow to finance the reconstruction of the hospital was not easily available. When the Labour Party administration took responsibility for the completion of St. Jude's Hospital, there were no monies available to undertake the task. We remedied the situation and continued making steady progress towards delivering an accredited health facility in the South. As is known, and unfortunately so, we were not able to complete the construction of the hospital before the end of our tenure. However, we left adequate resources and a team in place to complete the task within 4 to 6 months. Reflective of their ineptitude and misplaced priorities, they stopped construction activity on the hospital for over 3 years. Despite the best efforts of the health professionals in the South, the population of the catchment area had to continue accessing substandard health services in the George Odlum National Stadium. Less than 2 years ago, for no valid reason, they destroyed 2 buildings and began construction of a new facility instead of completing the structures that had been stopped. Of course, the new structure is far from complete and is even less advanced than the stopped structure. So, after 5 years and hundreds of millions of dollars, the people of St. Lucia are without a proper hospital in the South. The low priority which has been given to addressing health infrastructure and services is what has contributed to St. Lucia having the highest COVID infection and mortality rates in the OECS. The situation was so poorly handled that we have more than the combined totals for OECS member states. Instead of prioritizing the completion of the hospital and improving the health of the people, the comfort and health of horses were instead prioritized. The current administration moved mountains and cleared all paths to facilitate DSH. This was done on atrocious terms which the St. Lucia Labour Party finds unacceptable and will seek to review once elected into office. Even whilst the government could find monies to facilitate the construction of the DSH racetrack, they were cutting social support programs. The STEP program, which employed workers to clean and beautify public roadways, was discontinued, removing a financial lifeline to that category of workers. Similar treatment was extended to persons working through the NICE program. Banana farmers were hoodwinked with the promise of export of their crops to Martinique and France. 5 years later, not a single carton of bananas has been exported to the French territories. By stopping the laptop program, the expansion of technology within the school curriculum was halted, further setting back educational reform. The onset of COVID and the need to engage in remote learning magnified the folly and absence of vision in the government's handling of the issue. For the past 5 years, long-standing constitutional norms were serially violated. Victimization of communities and individuals supporting the opposition was formalized and articulated in what is now known as the doctrine of victimization. After 5 years, there is no significant foreign investment, no 7 hotels as promised. As their term closes, St. Lucia's economy is the worst performer of the independent member states of the OECS, according to the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank. The Caricus report states that St. Lucia's recent credit rating is now worse than it was in 2016. This poor performance is not purely because of COVID. COVID merely further exposed the poor economic decisions that they had been making. They promised to achieve an accumulated growth rate of at least 12% in the term. By the end of their term, GDP has now contracted to pre-2014 levels. They promised a reduction of the debt to GDP ratio by at least 5 percentage points. Instead, they have added over 911 million to the debt stock, causing the debt to GDP ratio to increase by over 34 percentage points over their 5-year period. When we pointed the problems and limitations in the approaches adopted by the government, we weren't doing so as mere rabble-rousers. We weren't opposing for opposing's sake. We are pointing to ways in which the developmental agenda can be improved and made better. My people, I'm not a showman, but rather a true and tested son of St. Lucia. whose navel string is buried right here. I want my country to prosper. Therefore, it does not give me any pleasure in saying we told you so, but we did warn the government of the pitfalls of the path that they were heading. The government's performance has been disastrous. The promise of a new St. Lucia has become the nightmare of two St. Lucias, one where the rich and powerful and friends of the United Workers' Party regime prosper, and the other where the rest of us are struggling to survive. This current path is destructive and must be reversed. Over the next few weeks, my team and I will continue to outline in greater detail our proposed approaches to steering us away from the abyss and into a path of prosperity. We shall be outlining our plans for an inclusive St. Lucia where citizens can find place and support to enhance their talents, inspire innovation, start and grow their businesses. We shall tell you of our approaches to law and order, economic management, support for the vulnerable, energy and environmental resilience, unleashing the talents of our creatives, retooling and expanding our educational opportunities among the population to take advantage of the fourth industrial revolution, creation of a youth economy, agricultural development, constitutional reform, and governance, among other issues. We shall present our proposals in a dignified manner, firm in principle, confident of our skill and competence to handle the challenges ahead. I urge everyone to raise the quality of the engagement. No need to descend into mudslinging and nastiness. No need for violence. We must become our brothers and sisters' keepers. This campaign should be free of violence and ugliness. I know we are capable of better. Let us live up to the ideals contained in our national anthem of pursuing justice, truth, and charity. I therefore invite you to join us on that mission to rescue and to rebuild St. Lucia, its people and its institutions. Everyone will find space to contribute to that rebuilding effort. Join us. Join Team Labour, where we shall put the interests of St. Lucians and St. Lucia first. When you go to the polls on 26 July 2021, vote the St. Lucia Labour Party. We are ready. The SLP is ready. We have faith that the people of St. Lucia will do what is right. I have faith in the proud people of St. Lucia. We are ready. Good night, and God bless you.